women in the room. But this time we felt that since we are talking about community networks in which women are central to it, but also men, everyone has a part to play. The session now, we just want to discuss what is the role of women in community networks. Most of the time in the ICT space, if women are not doing, it's not a technical role, then it's a role that it's very easy to be ignored. Our panelists today are experts in gender, so I'll let them introduce themselves from different organizations across Africa, and I look forward to engage.
Thank you. Hello everybody, my name is Sol Ilanga, and I'm from the Zenzeleni non-profit company.
Good afternoon, my name is Kgopotso, this is from Magoro. I'm from ISOC Contention.
Good afternoon, I'm Lilian Achom from Uganda. I'm the Secretariat Volunteer Staff of AfChix.
Good afternoon, I'm Ritu and I'm working with Digital Empowerment Foundation, India. And we are managing the wireless communities network.
Thank you. I am Tonny, the only gentleman among the ladies. Thank you.
Welcome, Tony, and the other panelists. I'll set up this session with a question. It's to the audience, and because I was afraid that no one would want to speak about it, I'll choose randomly. But if you want to contribute, I'll take two. So the first question is there a space for women in community networks? And what role do you see women playing in community networks? So close your eyes, think of a nurse, because we process things through images. So when you think of a nurse, when you think of someone coming to install a Wi-Fi access point, who do you see?
I see what I shouldn't see. I think naturally the picture in my mind is a man. That shouldn't be the case. And in Cameroon today, where there are women who are bricklayers, so I don't see any reason why women should not be involved in every aspect of community networks.
An interesting question. I think also what is always in my mind is a man, but in the case of AfChix, we have two ladies who are technicians, but although it's not gender balanced, yeah. Then also at the radio station we have three journalists. Of course, it's common for a lady to be a journalist. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for you had this hand.
I see the role of women more in community engagement, doing more of sensitization. When I close my eyes, this is where I see women somehow. But the technical part, I mean, the lady mounting the python and all. I don't know.
Is it because she'll fall off? Is it because of dressing? Maybe.
I handed over that accountability to her some time back. She has chosen. I set her free.
Did she share what she chose? Did she share what she chose? Her choice.
She chose art, and as a father I thought, you're going to be an artist, you're going to be poor. I didn't say it. In fact, she is more successful than me in raising and looking after money, and I think that is a strong female trait, certainly in this country. The people who save, the people who have to feed children towards the end of the month.
The situation is that So I think it's about the social construction, the way we've been brought up. So I think from a tender age, I think girls are brought up to, or prepared to do certain tasks. And then I think men or boys are also brought up, also being prepared to do certain tasks. So it is something that at times it's not even deliberate. It happens unconsciously. Without knowing, you end up ascribing certain traits, certain characteristics in girls, and then also certain characteristics in boys. When you go to school, you'd find that you'd find female teachers teaching English, home economics, those type of subjects. And then you find male teachers teaching physical science, mathematics, and what is normally considered to be the harder subjects. And that, unknowingly to us, it does instill a certain type of thinking in girls to say probably this is difficult for us as girls. And then it also makes boys feel like, okay, being challenged to say, I think if you did it, I can also do it. So I think we've got a long way to go in terms of changing that type of landscape, because it is something that there are certain things that are actually deliberate, but then there are also certain aspects which actually happens without us knowing. So when I look at this and trying to apply in this context, I think we've got an advantage in terms of community networks, because I think in terms of we need to look at issues to do with access and then also issues to do with control. So what we are providing is something that anybody, whether you are male, whether you are female, should have access to. But for that to happen, we also need to look at now the gender dimensions, the cultural dimensions that are within the households, within our communities. So I think all my colleagues have talked about them being part and parcel of being part and parcel of the process of building these community networks. So if we can make sure that women are also there, girls are also there when networks are being built, it's something that's going to be we doing it. And everyone at the end of the day will actually be part and parcel of the process. And then we can look at the issues of access and then control at the end.
They actually do. So I interviewed some of the Zenzeleni women, both the ones that have been in the project for over 6 years, and then some that have been newer to the project. And I spoke to a range of or ages ranging from 25 to 62. And my list got longer and longer and longer, and I just want to share with you some of what they do. So, they're local researchers. So in our case, part of the essential part of getting Zenzeleni going was research. We've heard that. We built evidence, and we were able to do, to structure things with evidence. It was essential. And this young woman was a translator and a researcher. She said, I sell vouchers on behalf of my brother when he's not there. I put the device to charge, I take the money, I record the date, the cost, the time. And when people say, oh, it's raining, so there's no power. No, we have a battery, we have the solar. She was giving technical assistance. She was doing the accounting. And she was providing us a person to talk to with those activities. Then I moved on to someone else, a mama, 50 years old, with a micro financing, and she does the managing, the loaning, follow up with payments, then manage those payments and share it between the cooperative. But then not only that, and does she convenes the meetings, she reminds people about the meetings, she takes minutes during the meetings, but then she also cooks for the meetings. She also sells the vouchers and charges the phones. And I asked, well, okay, all that. No, at some point, a male figure was charging the phones, but they got tired of that. Another mama, 60 years old, attend the meetings, make sure that there's decisions. we go shopping, then we cook. I collect the monthly fees. I collect the monthly fees so that we have a microfinancing. I record, I share the money. And I talk to people when they come to the shop. I talk to them about Zenzeleni. I help people put the voucher codes into the phones. Help them load them. I answer their questions. And then she said further, no, in my house the battery was stolen once, so I keep it safe. And I was, oh yeah, how do you keep it safe? Says I sleep next to it. And when there's lots of phones, we wake up in the morning and in the night and switch the phones around so that they keep charging. So I said, okay, I was trying to think, I've been to these meetings. So what does a day look like? And I said, okay, 1, I wake up at 6 a.m., I wash, I prepare breakfast for my husband, I get the kids ready to school, I clean and prepare the room of the meeting. I then manage the meeting, take the minutes, cook for everyone, wash up, then I join the meeting again, and I'm the one to follow up for the next meeting on what was talked in the previous meeting. Then I have to go back home and make supper for everybody. Then after supper, I need to clean up the house. And then remember that they're still sleeping next to the batteries and swapping the phones around and so on. So another mama who lives further away, she says, I wake up at 4 a.m. and I prepare the kids and I wash and I clean the house. At 8 a.m. I leave, and if Jay isn't there to pick me up because he's away, and I've been with Jay picking up, he does pick up people on the way to the meetings, I walk for 1.5 hours to 2 hours. I arrive at the meeting, I help set up, I do the meeting, I cook, I wash up, I carry on the meeting. Then I walk another 2 hours back home. Then I have to cook supper for my family. Then I clean the house, then I rest. So I said, okay, when you're not there, who helps you? Yeah, sometimes my children, my husband, my daughter. So what do you think is necessary was my next question. Not just what do you do. And the amount of suggestions were amazing. We need transport, we need a telecenter, we need a university bursary, we need voice services. In fact, they must be called ZMT. We need cheaper airtime, we need somebody at the telecenter teaching people, and a computer because they don't have computers. And they had it all planned out. Somebody new to the network, 42 years old. I want to encourage youth to use the network. To those youth that don't go to school, I want to show them how to get education material and how to get jobs. Another woman, 42. I want to expand Zenzeleni. I want it to be a benefit to the community. I want to join these mamas that don't do it for themselves. They do it for others. And then I said, okay, what would you like to be doing? Oh, I enjoy the technical work. I want to climb the ladder. I want to configure. And then literally in their words, the assembly, the alignment, install unifiers and light beams. And that was translated from isiXhosa. And others said, I want to inform others about Zenzeleni, and I want to make sure that it's the community first. And they ended with, we are the pillars, we don't give up. And I don't think there's anything else left for me to say.
Thank you so much to the Zenzeleni women for what you have shared. My first question, as Sol was sharing, was like, why would I wake up at 2 a.m. or at 4 a.m. First 2 a.m. to change someone else's phone, and then 4 a.m. to prepare everyone and walk 2 hours to a network, to the meetings, and then 2 hours back. But then Sol said that they do not do it for themselves. Nowhere in the conversation very little was about their gain, but more was towards what the community was going to benefit from it. So we move next to AfChix.
Like we already heard from the audience, the men giving in their views, and then we might have picked something from what Sol said, the issue of the woman having to wake up at 4 a.m., does some cleaning, prepare the kids, maybe take them to school or something. Some of the barriers are those undocumented situations that lead to them, avoid them from participating in this kind of things. While those that have been talked about, they actually go ahead to still walk all those distances after doing all the house chores. They walk all those distances to go and do their work at the community level, at the community network centers. There are those who will say, okay, it's overwhelming, for me, I cannot do all that. So those are some of the little things that actually act as a barrier from them participating in this kind of community networks. Then the other things, of course, other than the cultural that we've already explored, bit of it, yes. I happened to visit, to make a learning visit at BOSCO, Uganda, and I went to the field at some point, one of the community network centers, and I realized that, okay, it was amazing the fact that, deep in some village where they're really beautiful, there are no trees as such, but in that bush, I could sit and surf. I was really amazed, without power, without nothing, but I could access the internet. But then all the people who were using the platform, the resources were actually boys and men. And when I asked the question that how come there are no ladies here? And they're like, the men, the fathers of the daughters, and then the husbands to the women are afraid to allow their daughters and women, wives, to go to such a center, simply because they feel that kind of center, it's a meeting place, and there are other wrong people who might probably take away their wives or something like that. So we then say, okay, what can we do for such scenarios, really? From AfChix experience, we realized that one of the ways is to expose students, young girls and boys, and I mean and boys at the same time. We expose them to a mentorship to remove this kind of mentality that, what, the girl is supposed to be this, a boy is supposed to be this, a boy, you're supposed to treat a girl like this. It has to start from a certain age, such that by the time you reach university level, they know that, okay, we are all the same. She can do it, I can also do it. That should we have to really be exposing the children to that. And that's what AfChix is all about. We provide career mentorship to young students between the age of 9 and 17, 18, just before they join the university, to expose them. Then the other thing is capacity building. Now, in terms of community networks, we think we have to provide capacity building, not just gathering the women in one group and then talking about all the advantages and disadvantages and challenges that may come with the community networks, but rather we gather like this, the men and the women. And I think today, of all the meetings that we've had previously discussing about the men, it's my first time to really hear honest opinions from the men. And I think it's really, really great to hear the opinions from the men and what you think. You can imagine if we had this kind of discussion right from the start and from an early age, then the boys, the girls grow up, with a different kind of mentality about it all. So for community networks as well, we need this kind of gathering, bring together the men and women of a certain community, talk about, the advantages and maybe the challenges, and so that they all solve it together. That way, the husbands will then realize that, okay, there is really nothing really for me to be afraid of when my wife goes to access information at a center. Maybe the information is about health. Maybe they are able to get content about maybe about a product being sold somewhere, or to just upload their information and someone else then to buy it. So those are some of them, some of the ways that we could do that. So still as us as AfChix, we hope to implement that. Hopefully soon we shall implement that kind of project whereby we shall have women-led community networks set up in a few African countries. Women-led, but the men will be involved. So that, yes, this time the men will lead, the women will lead, and the men will be behind them watching. And then, yes, we shall also document that the attitudes. We want to see the attitudes of the men, the responses, and then the women will still have to manage these community networks that we intend to set up and maintain and use, because mainly the centers are used by men. So we want the women to be the majority. Okay, at least that's our target, to be the majority using it. Thank you.
And barriers and opportunities. Lilian has spoken from an African perspective. Can you now give the local perspective?
Okay, good afternoon. I will start with the barriers, and I would like to speak within the rural context because I am a rural girl and I have lived the barrier where I schooled up to matric and then I go to university. And when I got there, that was my first time to be exposed to a thing called the computer. So which means when I have to compete with girls from the urban area, my anxiety is not about figuring out how the computer works, but it's my confidence which is affected, because maybe I'm even afraid to ask how to switch it on. So I just pretend like I know. So that is barrier number one. When you're coming from a rural setup, you are already disadvantaged. you know, especially because we don't have universities in our rural setups where we can be able to continue with our studies. So we are forced to leave the villages to go into an urban setup. So where I see the opportunities coming in with community networks is that we can start building the confidence of the rural girl boy and girl child to a point that they don't have to leave the village. Or even when they have to leave the village, they will be starting almost at the same level with the urban, you know, boys and girls. But coming back also in terms of opportunities, I think somebody raised a point to say that women are the pillars. And since we've been here, there's like a conversation around why are we building community networks? What is it that we need to do beyond providing the infrastructure? And I'm saying, ask the women, they'll tell you what needs to be done. Because in an African context, we know that women are running the economy of the village. Women are the ones who are doing the planning. They might be consulting with the husband and with the chief and everyone, but they are the ones who are running the economy. So why do we want to complicate life when it comes to technology? Because they've already proven that they can do it in other sectors. So what we need to do is to open up the space, and I'm happy that in Zenzeleni, it's not all about theory. It's about the practice, and I am like emotional today because I am from a village. I'm in the city of Pretoria. And when we speak about women in technology, there's a perception and a misconception of who is this woman, the woman in technology. Normally, it's a power woman who's wearing a suit, carrying their laptop, fighting in the boardroom. But when you look in this room, we've got women in technology. And these women are not theorizing about technology. They are doing it. And I just want to applaud the women of Magoro because I feel they are changing the narrative. And if they can do it, I believe that their daughters can also do it. So all we need to do is to build their confidence. And that's where AfChix South Africa comes in terms of the socialization, as James from Malawi was saying, that sometimes we maintain the stereotypes to say that girl child cannot do it. But who said they cannot do it? Because you didn't ask them. Somebody said women cannot climb the ladder. But Saul told us that in her conversation, somebody said, actually, I would like to climb the ladder. So which means that as men, maybe you need to reflect, don't think for us, because we can think for ourselves. We know what we want to do. So all you have to do is to enable the space and see if we are not capable. But we've already proven the hours that women are waking up 4 o'clock in the morning to prepare for everyone shows that there is capability and resilience. So I believe that women are capable. So we just need to open the space and work with the girl child to a point that when they reach matric, it's no longer about whether girls can do it or not, but it's about, you know what, we are here, and it's a movement for the girls from rural areas across the continent.
Thank you, Kgopotso. Next, we are going to Ritu. We've heard some of the things that the women from Zenzeleni want. They want a telecenter. They want to be trained in terms of in skills so that they are able to participate more in community networks. For you, my question is, what have you done for wireless for communities in India in ensuring that women are participating in community networks? So what programs have you been able to provide? What success have you been able to see, and what are you planning next?
Thank you so much. You have asked so many questions actually at the one question itself. And most of the questions have been answered by the people, those who are sitting here. I think I should go back and sit there and listen to them because in the most of a gender, when we talk about gender, women are sitting in the panel and they are talking about women. It's It should be the other way around. It should be the men who should talk and we should listen. In the previous panel, same applies. When we were talking about the technology, women were sitting that side and men were sitting this side. So it should be the other way around. Generally we do not ask what exactly women are doing it, but because we take them for granted that men have been raised like that to protect women, and women have been raised like that they should be protected by men. That's the one thing which we wanted to build up the scratch from when we started our community wireless program in Digital Empowerment Foundation. Because when we established our first center, it's not the kids were the first one who came, but not the male kids. Young women kids were coming actually. They were crossing the wall and they were coming to the center because they were not allowed to go for the education. They were not allowed to touch the computer. The computer which they were not allowed, that the fear was that it might damage. It's that the something the fear which has to go. Nothing else has to be done actually. Once the fear is gone, then the computer is also for them as it's for the male, and because technology is a neutral thing. It's not the male or female or something like that. It's completely neutral. So when we started building our Wireless for Communities program, the first thing which we said, the center is open for everyone. It is not for a time or barrier. It is 24/7 accessible. It is because most of the women come in the night. Once they are done with their household chores, then they come and then they visit actually. Then they sit and then they gossip around it. Then they do talking about what is happening in the thing. And frankly speaking, why do we say that women do not know the mathematics? They manage their household management such a beautiful way that none of the finance minister can manage it. And none of the people can manage it much better way. They know what time they have to get up and what time they have to sleep as well. So the time management, financial management is being done by the household women actually. So why not any kind of a simple maths can be done by them as well. So that was the space when they were occupying in terms of why this center should be there. And they were not using the center for learning community networks or nothing. They were not using the technology at all. They were using the space for themselves. They were using the space to be having a safe space where they can talk, where they can learn, and where they can share their daily experiences. We built it in the center. When we established our first center, the center was like the space for women, and then it acquired for women by learning few tips or something like that. The girls were coming just to browse some YouTube videos, how to make dishes, how to make do a beautician tips actually. And actually that's a learning for them as well. They were learning about those things, and then they said, okay, now I want to see how this works actually. And some of we have about 10 women wireless engineers, and all of them are climbing the ladder as well, and all of them are climbing the tower as well at the same time, because we do try to protect them, but it's let them protect themselves instead of we protect them. They know how to come out of their fear actually. So they do climb the tower. The one thing which when they said, why do I want to climb the tower? Because they want to know how does it work actually. Until unless you will not do it, you can't understand the things. No matter how much I try to tell you, until unless I'm not doing the theory, I have only told you the theory, I have not told you the practical sense. When you learn the practical, you learn the nuances of the everything actually. And that's why they went to climb the tower. They sat for 2 hours in the towers and they aligned the antenna and other stuff actually. But they did it on themselves. And the girl is about only the 23 years old girl or 25 years old girl. She climbed the tower, she did everything, and then she came back happily, and she had a tea as well sitting at the tower as well. So we were thinking that when we established these kind of programs, we knew that the women are one of the most influenced, and they will come first, then the men will come. They have a more interest in doing certain things than male. And why were they turning up? Because all of the men had an opportunity to go to the outside the villages, outside to watch movies and other stuff. But female women didn't have such kind of opportunities. They were turning up for our center to having a safe space and talking day-to-day jobs actually. Then they gradually started turning it up. What we did as well, we gave them an opportunity to access anything at any point of a time, nothing else. We did not give them specific trainings actually. We gave them an opportunity, whether you damage the computer, it's your computer, you damage it. It is a computer where you will damage it and you will rebuild it as well. It doesn't matter whether it's there or damaged, or it doesn't matter whether it's broken as well. First thing what we do, they came out as from their fear of using the technology itself. Second thing what we did, we have given a wireless and these kind of technology to them so that they can build their own enterprises and own e-commerce setups actually. So I'll tell you the story of a 19-year-old girl who is a master trainer in weaving, and she designs the cloth and archives those cloths. Design the handlooms, and she puts it on the computer. And this is the first time she has worked in the Lakme Fashion Week, which is a national fashion week in India. And then she said she is taking the apparels from the handloom designers who has been built. She is managing the entire portfolio of designers and weavers. Same time she is also managing the portfolio of the in that center, the wireless as well. She is giving them a training, and everything is she doing this. Her name is Vidyavati. She was recognized by ISOC as a Women Under 25 Leaders Program as well. Though she could not able to travel to US, but she could able to travel to many other things. She could able to do it. So there are the stories which I want to tell you is not the stories which is inspiring actually. We are already inspired by them because they give us a portfolio. Okay, you do not need to, as an organization, you do not need to do anything. We are capable enough of doing everything. Just give them a hands to explore everything. So either you give them a hand of exploring with the gadgets or something, you give them a hands of exploring the world actually. So that's what we have done. And right now what we are doing is, we are trying to create one curriculum so that they can learn those kind of technologies on their own. We are creating, and this is not specifically for women, this is for all people, those who are illiterate or those who learn, because India is the country where we do not educate by read and write. We learn everything by oral. We watch YouTube often then read and write. So everything is on a YouTube basis or on a textual basis or pictorial basis. That's our culture is. So we are creating such kind of a curriculum for them so that they can learn on themselves. And I know some of them, you guys must have heard about Solar Mamas, which is in a barefoot college located in Tilonia, and most of the women from Africa go and learn how to make solar panels, and they come back and they make it here as well. So similarly, we are creating the wireless mamas. So that's the section where women can come and specifically, and they can learn wireless technology on their own. And basically, this technology is learning the language of color coding. You learn what is the color of the red wire and what is the color of a yellow wire and the white wire. How does it work? That's all. Nothing else you need to know. You just know the functionality of the wires. You do not need to know the background or the physics or the chemistry of what it is going to do it. So the theory is not important, the practical sense is important. That's what we did.
Thank you, Ritu. I would like to read a quote from Nick Bidwell, and this is a research that she did. And it will point to the question that I'd like to ask Tonny. She said, during her research, I did not meet a single champion or manager who was enthusiastic about involving women. The research that she was doing was with community networks. Yet time and again, I encountered difficulties in ensuring the data represented women's perspectives. So to Tonny, I'd like to ask you, how is BOSCO Uganda creating an enabling environment for women?
Yeah, thank you. It's a nice question, though challenging. BOSCO Uganda itself is one of the organizations that, in its own perspective, would have loved to have quite a number of women. But when you looked at the percentage of women that are employed by BOSCO, initially BOSCO had a greater percentage of women at the start in different positions, from finance, from other aspects of administration. But the technical aspect was only having one technician, though the number also started small as the organization started. But as the organization grew, the number of females remained stagnant until 6-7 years down the road that BOSCO started looking at how best can we have women supported to be part of this struggle. That has not been so much easy because of many things. One, we came from the background of many of our community were really isolated during the war, and not so many of the women were actually taken to school or had any learning platform that can enable them be able to have access to this kind of whether theory or practical. And also the technology that started coming up came up at a point where very few of our young ladies and women could even get interested in a learning platform to take up ICT and other responsibility. But as an organization, we have been trying, as part of one of our projects was looking at how best can we have ICT-led technicians. We had only one lady who was spearheading our customer care and relations, and also she was the technician at the same time. She could actually do all that it takes to demonstrate to all the other ladies that comes around, because we had an internship program where students from universities come to learn the practical session. That is the only bit that we have tried, and we have pulled so many young graduates to come and do their internship for 3 months and goes back. But in real sense, to employ women, we have tried our best, but so far we have only 4 ladies who are currently working with BOSCO. The 5th one unfortunately passed on during childbirth, that she could not actually make it, but I think those who are there are managing with only one of them being a technician. So we are looking forward to make sure that any aspect of recruitment that we having should actually be a lady, especially in the technical section where we will see a lady climbing the tower on their own. Personally, though the question was directed towards that, but I actually wanted to talk about some few areas of on women perspective, because I was looking at women at home. Women at home, I looked at them in 2 different ways. We are actually men. I don't think if any of us would deny that he or she had not talked to a woman or does not have a woman near you or your relatives or any of that kind. So we all have women. When you looked at women at home, what do they do? That is a question. When we looked at women at home, we have so many attachments that we always attribute to women. One of them is we normally looked at women as the housekeepers, as somebody said. There is a stereotypes on women, and also there is a low self-esteem that we have created on women, that they should not do things that men does. And that has remained right from whatever years, I don't know. We also came on earth and found that women in some cultures are not allowed to do certain things. And these are things that are still continuing. So personally, I also blame our background, where we came from, because these are things that we are continuing to practice. But how best can we come in now to break this barrier? This is the right platform for us to break the barrier. Do we still want to keep on continuing with the stereotypes that is attached to women, that they are not supposed to climb towers, women are not supposed to talk in public, women are not supposed to take ICT or any other engineering courses because it will expose them. In some culture, they talked about breaking virginities of women. Do we still want to continue with those kind of stereotypes that make women have low self-esteem? Because right now, when you look in this room, I think the percentage of women is almost equivalent to men. So this is a great, great improvement that we need to keep it up. I think the switch it on is supposed to be also on the women. How are we going to shape tomorrow? Let's try to change the stereotype. When you looked at the households, we had already talked about planners. For me, I looked at a woman and women as the best planners. But for us as men, with our ego, we looked at us as the best leaders of the households. But we don't have the planning brain. It's actually a woman. Me, I give this out of example, out of experience, because we always tend to be leaders of the household, and some of the men want to even take a woman's responsibility of a woman should declare his resources, her resources to him. And yet when you give a woman her resources to plan on, she will does it better than us the men. And this is true. We should not deny this. How many men accept that women are good planners in the house here? Thank you. Yeah, so women are good planners. Though some of them also abuse the planning. No, this is something that happens. Because if they could keep to that, we will have the best planners on earth. Because women can actually do all these other things that are done in the households. They are the one who drives it. We always stand behind them, provide what needs to be done, but women take lead. And when you look at the cultural practices that are within the different societies, if we come to Zenzeleni community, we have different cultural practices. There are others that actually deprive a woman from coming out as a champion in the community. There are others that actually does not allow a girl child to go to school. So these are things that happen throughout. And there are also others that does not allow a woman to practice certain things. For example, when you come to vocational learning, there are very few women who take up, as I mentioned, being a plumber. Very few women actually take up those roles. So, and also I want to go back to somebody who came with from the engineering perspective that a woman cannot go under tunnel. I think that's not right. A woman can go under tunnel. It's only the dressing code that we need to design that makes a woman do everything, if it comes to engineering. Because a woman can also kneel down, a woman can also scroll, a woman can be able to dig. In some culture they say women should not dig graves. And yet this is not something that God even said that a woman should not dig a grave. But a woman can do it, but we have actually attached our cultural practices to those kind of things. You see? So we need to see how best we can help our women do all that we do. It's only the difference in the God's creation that made us not to actually do everything at all. And also, the way we are brought up, it's actually, some cultures say women should not ride a bike. In my country, there are so many women who are border riders. So why can't we encourage women to also participate in this? And this helps change a community. And this helps build a community and create an income for them because they can do anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I'm taking Ritu's advice, and today, instead of you asking the panel questions, the panel will get to ask the audience questions. I'll start with Sol.
Oh. So tempted to say lots of things, but I'll resist. I